I was there. Larry Biondi, Washington, D.C., 2007. As expected, it was a warm day in our nation's capital for the last week of April. My motorized wheelchair was all souped up for the fun run Sunday in Upper Senate Park. Participants ran or wheeled laps around the park to raise money, with half of the proceeds going to their local ADAPT chapter and the other half going to National ADAPT. I collected $400 from friends and colleagues in Chicago, so I wasn't going to disappoint either them or my fellow adapters. I rolled 38 laps around the park. On Monday, we really hit the pavement by marching to the Rayburn Building on Capitol Hill. ADAPT invaded the offices of Representative John Dingell, a Democrat from Michigan, and Representative Joe Barton, a Republican from Texas, and the hearing room of the Commerce, Energy, and Health Committee to hold hearings on the Community Choice Act, H.R. 1621 and Senate Bill 799. While about 100 ADAPT activists were occupying the offices, the other adapters filled the horseshoe driveway in front of the building, chanting, "The Community Choice Act now!" Protesters used whistles to punctuate their boisterous chants. I was one of 99 protesters who were arrested. We were taken to the Capitol's garage where they slowly processed us. The last arrestee was released at 3:30 a.m. in the morning. Victory! We were promised a hearing on the bill before the end of the year. The week only got better. We didn't have to visit HUD as we normally do in Washington, D.C. Secretary Alphonso Jackson came to ADAPT instead. He met with 50 ADAPT delegates at our hotel to discuss housing issues, and then he visited the ballroom to meet with the whole gang. He greeted ADAPT by saying, "I came to you." He later told the group that fair housing is a right. Highlights of Jackson's commitments to ADAPT. Inform ADAPT by September during its action in Chicago on how many housing vouchers for persons with disabilities he has recovered from the 58% loss in vouchers that the disability community suffered due to a combination of federal budget cuts and misappropriation of vouchers by local entities that administer the voucher program in communities across the country. Jackson vowed to eliminate the outrageous level of discrimination in housing against people with disabilities. Promised to facilitate a meeting between ADAPT, Representative Barney Frank, a Democrat from Massachusetts, and Representative Maxine Waters, a Democrat from California. Both of them serve on committees that are responsible for legislation affecting changes to segregated housing for people with disabilities. Jackson committed to work with ADAPT on implementing ADAPT's Access Across America program, which would provide housing vouchers to persons with disabilities in nursing homes, and ICFMRs that are combined with Money Follows the Person, and previously existing initiatives to the states. Will get people with disabilities out of these institutions and into affordable, integrated, and accessible housing. Promised to meet with ADAPT 3 times a year. After meeting with Jackson, ADAPT marched up the street and stormed into the American Hospital Association building. We packed the first floor hallway to demand a meeting with the AHA to discuss better discharge planning and that they endorse the Community Choice Act. A lot of our brothers and sisters go into the hospital thinking they will return home, but end up in prison because of piss-poor discharge planning by social workers. The AHA agreed to meet with ADAPT in the next 30 days. The last day we converged on Capitol Hill, urging all 535 congressmen to become co-sponsors and support the Community Choice Act. I got arrested with 130 warriors for trespassing in front of the Rayburn office building to drive the message home that we were not leaving until we got promises. After the arrest, we were transported to an underground police garage on the hill. It was a long and tedious process, but I had a good laugh with my fellow Chicago adapter, Darryl Price, regarding Crip humor. You know, the kind of moment you had to be there to appreciate. I then spent the rest of the 8 hours with my friends Sarah and Jennifer from Vermont, sharing laughters and new memories. I don't know why it was for such a jovial atmosphere. Probably it was the carbon monoxide that I heard that was leaking from that garage. I finally got released around 9 that night. I waited outside of the garage for a group that was released, and we rolled back to the Holiday Inn. We hung outside of the hotel into the wee hours of the morning, waiting for the rest to return. I felt a great deal of satisfaction at what we had accomplished this week. The commitment from Secretary Jackson, the commitment from Congress to hold hearings on the Community Choice Act, and the good camaraderie among adapters in beautiful weather. Our work this week has accomplished even more than we expected. Adapt organizer Bob Kafka said, "That's what victory can do for you."